Hello everyone, this is Popsiology, where we talk about the psychology of pop culture and its impact in society. Today we're going to talk about fashion, conspiracy theories, moving to LA, and so many great things with my friend, The Wiz.
Hello everyone! My name is Wasal, The Wiz, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Okay, so I guess I want to start because I don't even know this about you. I want to start knowing how and when did you know what you wanted to do? You're not from LA, so kind of like your background and growing up, what you wanted to do, if you always knew, and how was that transition from, kind of being in a regular town to deciding to follow like the creative path?
Honestly, I feel like that's such a loaded question, but at the end of the day, it was very simple for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was very comfortable going on with life and just being like, okay, yes, like I'm just gonna get this job and I'm just gonna, get with this guy and I'm just gonna get, just regular life stuff. And then COVID happened and the lockdown happened, and that's genuinely when I was able to just kind of like sit still and really realize what I wanted in life. And that changed everything for me. I came to LA and like I always like to call it like I had like a spiritual awakening, as corny as it is, but like July 5th, 2020, I know the day. And I literally I remember my eyes were closed and my friends or we like to get studios. So we would get a studio, but it would just be us. So we would rent out a studio with just me and my friends, and we'd listen to all the music that we wanted to do, on all the music we wanted to listen to. And I remember my eyes were closed and I could literally vividly see, do you remember like with CDs, like for a movie, it would be like play, settings, and then you could go to like different scenes. So in my brain, I'm like, my eyes are closed, I'm on this couch, settings and scenes is right there. I click on scenes and I saw my whole life. Like that's generally what I saw. And I came up like this. I was like, guys, we're gonna be rich. We're gonna be rich. And genuinely, I don't know what to say like that. From that day on, like everything changed and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Like I can't live this life that I don't know what I'm living for. I don't know what I'm doing here in Boston. I love Boston. So grateful that I grew up there. But I just didn't want to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to have a family just yet. And so I was like, what can I do? Came to LA and I just felt like the world was so much bigger. And that's generally just motivated me to just jump right in and move. And yeah, very long-winded answer, but pretty much I didn't know what I wanted to be at all. I still, am trying to fine tune it. I know that I want it to be in fashion. I want it to be a motivational speaker. I want to help people be confident in themselves. That's mainly the realm that I am working towards and am in. But I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Did you go to college?
I did go to college. I went to college for business. I was
classic. You don't know classic. What to do. Business degree.
Yeah. I went in, I applied to psychology, and then the day that we started classes, I was like, actually, can I do business? And so I just did business, and it was simple.
It's crazy because so many people started their creative path on COVID. Like, COVID is such a dark season for, the entire world and in many ways, but I feel like in many other, it forced us to just sit down. It forced us to think like, oh, life can end tomorrow, and what are we doing? And for me, it's kind of the same. Like, I never knew what I wanted to do. I didn't like any major. I just knew I wanted to have a company, but I didn't know what that was. And then I kind of tried to get into politics. Like, I wanted to get into politics until I realized what politics was, and I was like, yeah, girl, I don't know. Not that Hollywood is better, though, I will say. But I was like, at least it's not like legal to all of this. And I just realized that, pop culture, and it's part of why I'm doing this too, has so much power in society. Like, people like to downgrade it because it's stupid to like know the life of the celebrities you like and spend money in concerts, but it really is the only industry that we are all so tapped in and so like aware of what's happening, and it's in people's like phones, social media, the way we dress, we talk, we act, so it's just interesting to see how COVID also forced people to like take that leap. So Now, in terms of your style, like you always love fashion. How has that evolved? I was mentioning earlier to you that there's a difference between like dressing well and just being fashionable and having a personal style. And that line, I feel like it's crossed when you stop just buying like, you know, a nice coat and like some nice jeans that match, and you start like putting prints together, putting colors together that don't go, and it's almost like an ugly fashion at some point. Like people look at it and it's like, how, I don't remember, because I'm barely starting to get there, like where I have put pieces together that I'm like, and someone one day asked me like, how did you put this together? And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, it works. So how was that for you, and how did you realize that you were actually creating your personal style?
Yeah, I think that from when I was younger, I would always thrift, and thrifting when I was younger wasn't really like, ooh, let's go thrifting. It was like, okay, like my mom doesn't want to buy me Abercrombie's, so like I have this certain budget and I can go and kind of make my own outfit and do what I want with it. And I'm just a person where I feel like I'm pretty outspoken, and I am just like a person that also leads with just kind of doing it. That's why I also had a series at one point, continuous series of just doing it, because I just do things and I kind of see what's about to happen after. And so when it comes to clothing, I remember I'd always just wear certain things, and people would always say to me, how are you wearing that? Or you could pull that off, but I can't. You could pull that off, but I can't. And I would always say to people, the only reason I pull it off is because I actually wore it and I stepped out of the house and I decided to do it. Like, that's the only difference between us being able to pull this off. Yes, that also comes with having confidence to do that, because you can really see that confidence. But for the most part, it was just kind of trying many things and seeing what I liked, and also trying things that people didn't agree with. I used to be a person that would like shop at Shein and stuff like that, and no hate to people that do. I just think that it's one of those things where it's like personal style comes from personal discovery. And because of COVID, because of, you know, my spiritual awakening, because of understanding who I am and wanting to understand it much deeper, I have realized that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So there's no way that I could be a disciplined person and understand who I was if my fashion didn't also kind of like become that too. And so living in Los Angeles, I mean, everybody just does whatever they want to do. Yeah. So that was also very motivating to just dress however I wanted to dress, because who's gonna stop me? Everyone looks like clowns. Like, it's literally a city of just clowns. But really, it's a city of just individuals that are very openly individual and are excited to be individual. And so I think that for the most part, for me, my personal style has come from personal discovery, figuring out who I am. And because I figure out who I am, I can just be more confident in whatever I decide to do. And then that has just really come out through my clothes. I just do whatever I want to do with my clothes.
No, I agree. I feel like it was so shocking to me, because back home, I'm from a tiny town in Mexico, like, you know, so I always like to dress well, but it was kind of the same that everyone was wearing, like the Abercrombie, all those brands, right? Like, I never went out of the box. I was just well dressed. And then moving here to LA, my first job was in Melrose Avenue at an ice cream shop. I was 18. And I remember seeing all these people walking in on Melrose, you know how Melrose is. And I was like, this is actually insane, you know, and they pull it off, but it's that they just wear it. That's the only difference. And you can also be super underdressed in LA. Like, it's both opposites, I will say. Like, there's people that go all in, but also there's people that show up like super plain to things, and it works. And it's like so wild that we are in a place where everything is allowed, you know. So what are the things that, okay, give me 3, well, I'm not gonna put numbers, but something that you really like. You told me already. What you don't like about LA and kind of how people move in this industry?
When it comes to this, if you could, just to clarify, like, what do you mean by industry? Just in Hollywood, or just like when it comes to clothes,
let's
fashion?
do fashion.
Like,
let's stick to fashion, and we'll branch out from there.
When it comes to what I don't like what people do in fashion is that I do think that people can tend to be a little bit uppity in their fashion, where if you are in the like thrifting scene or the, you know, secondhand scene, people will start to gatekeep where they got their clothes or stuff like that. And it's interesting because if you go into a certain Goodwill, at the end of the day, you're gonna get what your eye catches. That's not, you know, like if people get worried that things will start to get picked over, and I'm sure that they can, but I think in the secondhand fashion realm of LA, people don't want to share where they're getting their clothes. And I'm just kind of the opposite of that, where I'm like, oh my God, I found a good thrift store. I have to tell everybody, because at the end of the day, you will not put together the same piece the way that I'm going to do it. And I think that comes from like a scarcity mindset. And I think that comes from you actually don't have your own individual style, and you're not confident in yourself if you really think that because we have the same shirt it's gonna look the same. It's not. So I'm okay, somebody can have the same exact pieces as me, but most time you're not gonna have the same pieces.
Also, you can never find the same pieces in a thrift store. Like it's one of a kind. Exactly. It's not like you can get L, S, XL of the same thing.
Exactly.
You know?
So that's the biggest thing about what I don't like about like the fashion realm in LA, and also too, fashion in LA, I think that because you can kind of wear anything, which it just depends on the way you look at it. You can look at it in a way where it's like, I can wear anything, I don't know what to wear. Or you can look at it as, oh, I can wear anything, I have so much to wear. But at first, I didn't know how to dress for certain occasions, because here you generally can wear anything at any time. Like in Boston, where I'm from, if you're going to a certain club, you know what to wear. If you're going to a certain dinner, you know what to wear. Here, I was like, if I'm wearing sneakers, I feel underdressed. If I'm wearing heels, I feel overdressed. Like I didn't have an idea of what to do. But then after a little bit of time, I was like, oh, perfect. I can just do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed always, you know? But it's hard in LA. Sometimes I walk in rooms and I'm like, can you guys try something? Can you guys try a little bit? Like,
making me look too good. Too easy.
I mean, I'll take it. It's fine, but come on, y'all. So kind of moving towards that, like, because I love thrifting as well. Like, literally, I don't think I shop anywhere else. Which in LA we're also used to that, and I found so many people are like, oh my gosh, I knew it, like, yeah, I thrift too. But you know, there's this whole different like fashion world of brands and like expensive brands, and just, you know, I feel like fashion, and you can tell me more about this because obviously you're way more immersed and you just went to New York Fashion Week, which we will talk, but I feel like we are kind of coming out a little bit of the minimalism that we were at in the last years, where I just saw everyone dressing plain, like no prints, no nothing. Blame the Kardashians, partly. But now I feel like we're kind of getting out of it a little bit. The brands, you know, sometimes it's about like they're super plain, but they're a certain brand and like they're expensive. How have you navigated being in the fashion world where that exists as well? It's about money. It's about, you know, fashion people are pretty like
snooties.
Yeah. So how have you navigated that, you know, kind of wearing on your sleeve, like what you wear, what you like, how much it costs, all that stuff?
I think that I'm honestly still navigating it. I think that I also haven't really thought about it for that long until this last year, until kind of going to Fashion Week and like the few months before, where I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna wear? It's so interesting because, especially creating content and wanting to work with brands, being a secondhand / thrift content creator, it's very hard to work with brands because who are you going to work with if you're not wearing anything other than the stuff from Goodwill? I mean, you can work with Goodwill, but Goodwill's not taking you to Fashion Week, babe. So it's like, you know, it's very interesting. I'm still really trying to understand that dynamic and how to go about it. There's a lot of things like, you know, Princess Polly and Pretty Little Thing and stuff like that. And that isn't obviously a higher end fashion brand, but the reason why I'm bringing those brands up is that those are the type of brands that are easier to kind of get you some brand deals or get you into events and stuff like that, especially in LA. There's probably a Pretty Little Thing event every other day, like, you know. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I really would love to go to these events and I would love to do this and that. But at the end of the day, my integrity is more important than just going to an event. I would love to go to certain events, but if I'm not going to buy your clothes because I don't like the quality of them, because I don't really like what you stand for, because I don't like how you know, produce them and stuff like that, I'm not going to take your money. I'm not going to go to this event. So it can be really hard to navigate that. But the kind of bridging this gap real quick is that I don't know yet how to navigate how to be with these larger brands and more expensive brands, because I just don't. But I'm willing to wait for that, you know. Like, I'm okay with being still working with my smaller brands or like more boutique niche brands before I can kind of get to that level, because I would much rather wait on great quality clothing from designers that really care and it's what they do and it's what they love, instead of some mass produced product, because I don't do that. I don't wear it. Like, I literally don't wear it. I started a thing on my channel, like a series on my channel, and it was Thrifty Wiz, because I was like, oh, let me see, I probably have like half of my closet, you know, is thrifted. I looked at my closet and it was 90, yeah, it was 80% at that point, but it's not, it's like 90%. I don't have anything that is not from a thrift store. Like, I generally don't. And I was like, oh my God, like, I didn't realize of how many clothes that I have that are secondhand. And so it wouldn't make any sense for me to, you know, work with brands that just don't align to me. But at the end of the day, of course, I want to go to a Miu Miu show. I would love to go to a Miu Miu show. It's really just trying to figure out how to do that without compromising my integrity, type of thing.
I mean, I feel like there's a market for what you're doing, definitely. And I don't know, it kind of reminds me of the trajectory. I'm sure you follow him, this guy Wisdom. I feel like he kind of did that a little bit. Like, he started just thrifting a lot. Like, he would go to like any store, and now he's working with this like super insane expensive brands. So I kind of see that happening, you know, where it's like people just look for you because of how different you style clothes, because he's super out of the box. Like, I remember following him before he really blew up, like now, you know, and he was really out of the box, you know, like wearing skirts, like all this stuff, you know. So I feel like that's kind of where it can go. Just obviously
just being more authentic. I feel like just staying in the authenticity and just creating more content that just has to do with, like, you know, my personal style and how I style and why I style. And then I think that alone will just kind of get me where I need to be. So that's why I'm kind of like, I don't know how, but I'm just swinging it.
How do you kind of get over the block of not posting? And not like, because this is just, I always tell my friends, like, we're all so talented. We never post what we have. Never post what we have. So how, you're good at it. You're really good at it. So how?
You say that, but in my brain,
answers,
I'm like so bad at it.
Well, but you're constant. You're always having a new series. Like, I always kind of know what you're up to, you know?
Yeah.
So
I guess for me, again, like I said, I don't think I'm good at it. I think that I have moments and spurts that I'm good at it, but then I just like won't post for a week, or I won't post for a month, and like, you know, the only thing that I can say about that is just discipline and self-discipline and all of that. That's like one of my biggest purposes in life is to understand how to be self-disciplined and how to help people be self-disciplined, because I think that without discipline is where like bad things can happen on all levels, and so it's really just a self-discipline part. And also, I'm not gonna say this is a good thing to do, but I just kind of beat myself up until I post sometimes. I'm just like, okay, well, so you haven't posted, like, I need to post. And then sometimes, you know what they say, quality over quantity, and I definitely agree with that. But in the beginning of trying to post consistently, I think just post whatever you can. Just post whatever you can until you have the flow of posting. Because when I grew my social media following, I posted every day for 90 days and I did not miss one single day. And then it just grew. I mean, it didn't really grow the way I wanted. We can get into that. But it just grew. And I think it was just simply because I just posted all the time.
Day.
But it wasn't it wasn't the people that I wanted to be following me. And I think that's where the quality versus quantity thing comes in, where it's like, at least if you want to get into the flow of posting, then focus on the quantity. But if you want to build a real community and have people that actually care about you and will, at the end of the day, when it comes to business, help convert to sales, then you needs to be quality content and not quality.
So just a
quantity.
bunch of random people were following you, or what do you mean with?
Yeah, I mean, I grew from like 3,000 followers to over 100,000 in like less than 2 to 3 months, and I was just like, what the heck is going on? But it was just a bunch of random people, and it was a bunch of men, and I was just like, I don't like you. I don't want you.
Never mind.
This is not what I thought was gonna happen. I thought I was gonna be on the Tarte trip to Dubai. Like, I didn't think I was gonna be, you know. And so it just wasn't the audience that I was expecting. And I think that was just because I didn't know what I was posting. I was just posting. Like, I genuinely was just posting. I was posting videos of me getting dressed in like clothes, but like it wasn't for people. People are very selfish. They don't want to be, if they don't know you, they don't care about you. So if you're going to find my content and I'm not teaching you anything, even if it's like a small thing, it doesn't need to be sit down, I'm teaching you, but like you need to have value in your content. And that's where I think the difference between having people that are who you want to be following you and to be in your community and just having random people. So yeah, I'm even actually, I've lost, like, I was at 100K and I've lost that following. I mean, I haven't lost it all the way. I'm at like 92 now. And that for a minute, I was like so embarrassed. Like, I was so embarrassed. I also really ruined I kind of did what I like to call social media suicide because once I hit 100,000 followers and then I realized that it was all men, I just like went like this. It was like the Homer Simpson, like going into the bush. Like, I was just like, no. Like, I was just like so sad. I was genuinely like, I didn't realize it in the moment, but after, you know, in hindsight, I was like, oh my God, this is not what I wanted. Like, every trauma that I'd ever had kind of came out because like all my trauma has to do with like shame and men and being Arab and blah, blah, blah. And then like all of my comments were like, where's your dad? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, my dad loves me. Like, chill.
Ew,
and so, I just didn't
are
post
you projecting,
for months.
sir? Because you are.
Right. He was projecting when he was kind of right. Anyways, but I didn't post for a month. And that was the ultimate social media suicide because my algorithm got screwed.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah. You do so well and then you stop for a little bit and it's like
but in hindsight, do I want 500,000 male followers? I don't. So like,
so that's when you shifted. What change did you do to kind of start attracting your audience?
Just kind of more of my motivational content within fashion. When I first moved to LA, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a confidence coach. And I actually coached 2 girls for about 6 months. And then I was like, okay, cool. Like, I think I need a little bit more coaching before I continue to do this. And it was really good. But like, I was like, okay, wait, I love fashion. Like, how am I going to fuse the two? And I think that generally now what I'm realizing is that like my purpose or my niche is to just show people that they can be confident. I think that confidence is kind of like the main bubble and then everything just kind of pulls around it. And through fashion, that is very like, it's an easy kind of leeway to fashion, to confidence, because you can't really have real true personal style and fashion if you aren't confident in that. And I think that your confidence does kind of portray and project with your clothes. Like you show people who you are through your clothes. And so, that's how I kind of started changing that, where it's just making series like the one that you were talking about just how can you attain your personal style and what you need to do and just small steps to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you born with this confidence, or is it something you kind of created for yourself?
I think I was born with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've always been just like, I don't care.
Super, yeah.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, if we can talk about astrology, I have a Sagittarius moon, so like I think that has to do with it. I'm just like outspoken and just really don't give a fuck. Like I just don't care. Like I just love I love learning through experience, and I feel like the only way that I can do that is to just kind of like go balls to the wall and just do what I think I should do, and then maybe later it's something that I don't think was the right thing to do, but I would rather try it out and find out later, and sometimes that screws me over, but it's my preference.
Okay, tell us a little bit about New York Fashion Week. Was this your first time?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us everything.
Yes. New York Fashion Week this year was amazing. I had been wanting to go for the last like 2 years. I mean, I've wanted to go all the time, but like the last 2 years, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go. And then this year, I was like, okay, I'm going for my birthday, because my birthday is always during September of the New York Fashion Week. And I was like, I'm gonna go for my birthday.
That's so greasy.
I love it. Oh, I love it so much. And I just love New York. Oh, but I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And then financially, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go, this, and that. And then it was like a week before New York Fashion Week. And I remember my friend posted that they were going to have Fashion Month. Obi actually posted it. And he posted like, I'm doing Fashion Month. And I looked at his story, and genuinely, like, in that moment, I just like started bawling my eyes out, because it's like one of those things where I'm so close to him and he's such a peer that it's something that I've always wanted to do, that it just hit me a little bit differently, where I'm so happy for him. I'm so proud of him. It's so cool to do all of that stuff. Like I wanted to do that, but because he is such a peer to me, it just hit me harder, and I just started crying. I was like,
And he's the reason why we're here, by the way.
Yes,
we met through Obi, which he was one of my first, employers, really.
Yeah, that's so. But yeah, it's funny how everything is full circle.
Full circle. Shout out Obi, not water. Obi, yeah. Link below.
Yeah, literally. But yes, and so I saw that, and then I was just crying, honestly, just started crying, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do about this? Like, I'm turning 27, and 27 is like a big number, I don't know, to me, I feel like it is.
Love 7,
like,
same.
And so I was like, I'm turning 27, I've always wanted to go to Fashion Week. What am I doing? Why am I not going? All I have to do is book a flight. Like, that's literally all I had to do. And I reached out to my friend. I was like, can I stay with you? And she was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Fashion Week. And so within a week before Fashion Week, we were going. And I think it's one of those things where I am just realizing that to get what I want, I have to be very audacious. And to tie Obi back into it, he's one of the most audacious people I know. He's an Aries, he's Nigerian, like he's a man. Like, could you get more audacious than a Nigerian Aries man? I don't think so. But so I was like, okay, like I can just do it. I can just go. So I went, and it was amazing. It was like, I just love seeing all the clothes. Like I loved, that's my favorite part. Genuinely just pieces of clothes. Like they do something to me that like, I don't know, they just make me feel so good. And it was a good time. It's just, the thing about it is that it wasn't everything that I expected, not because it wasn't New York Fashion Week, not because the weather was bad, not because, all these things. It was the fact that I get to reap a lot of benefits from the people that are around me, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm so grateful to be people's +1. I am so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to be your +1. Plus, I'm so grateful that you are, who you are, and that this is happening. Like, I'm so grateful. But I think that in this time of my life, it's not that I don't want to be a +1. It's just that, like, I want to be the main, like, I want to be the main person invited. I want to have my own connections. I want to have my own network. I want to, like, I'm happy to support people. I'm actually, like, that's my favorite thing to do. It's just that I have been realizing, like, okay, it's like, you can support people while also having people support you, and while also being like in being the main person or whatever. It wasn't even more of a main person. It was just the fact that the idea of what I thought New York Fashion Week was going to be was not, it wasn't that it wasn't achieved based on me physically being there. It was just that I'd put a feeling on it, and that feeling was like a feeling of fulfillment, a feeling of validation, a feeling of all of these things, and I haven't done the work to have gotten the feeling that I want to get when I attach that feeling to New York Fashion Week. So it wasn't that New York Fashion Week was bad. It was amazing. It was so cool. Like, it was an accomplishment that I did it, but I just attached a feeling to it that I just can't, I will not get it until I like personally am the one that like did the work to be invited to all these things and to be, you know, there. So
do you want to design? Do you want to model? Do you want to create a brand? You don't know? It's okay if you don't know. Okay?
I think that I never thought about designing until this fashion week, and I made a few pieces, and it was so much fun. But I had realized that I'd kind of been doing it for a long time, in the sense that my name is The Wiz, and it has a little safety pin with it because I just use safety pins and I just make a bunch of stuff. And I remember when I was in college, I wouldn't have a going out top, so I would just take a top that I had and I'd start cutting it and I'd start pinning it, and then I had a new shirt. And I didn't think that that was design because I wasn't sewing. I don't know why in my brain I didn't think that I was designing something unless I sewed it. So I'm definitely entertaining the idea of designing. At some point, I definitely want a brand. I already have the name, like I already have everything, you know what I mean? I definitely want a brand. Yes, it's loading. But for the most part, I think that right now, I just want to kind of like help people when it comes to the confidence act. I feel like everything for me just keeps coming back to the confidence and like building confidence, and then that has to do with like self-discipline. And I also really love like a Jay Shetty and like a Mel Robbins, and like I aspire to have that energy in the sense that I want to just I love to preach, honestly. I'm not about to go be a preacher, but like I have that energy, and like I love to talk, and like I definitely feel that people like listen when I talk and feel motivated afterwards. So I want to just bring that aspect into fashion and just help people like really just wear whatever they want to wear. And so that's where I'm in the fashion realm. I want it to just be fused a lot with like the whole motivational part of it.
And you know, based on that, I know you're Arab. Because there's obviously like fashion in, you know, Arab communities has very strict rules. So how was that? Was your family like chill about it, or what was that for you?
For the most part, my family was pretty chill, and I say that in the sense of like compared to other Arabs, compared to Americans, not at all, but like compared to other Arabs, they were very relaxed. I could pretty much wear whatever I wanted. The only thing that I couldn't like do, it depended on sometimes, you know, too short of a skirt or like stuff like that. But for the most part, I got to wear whatever I wanted to wear, which was nice and like freeing. It just, the whole clothing in Arab thing, I think that I'm not like the best person to talk about it just because my family was very relaxed on it, but I still did feel the cultural like shame of wearing whatever you want to wear. Or even now, actually, like I feel like the last few years I've came to dress a little bit more modest because I just like it. But then there's also moments where I'm like, wait, did I forget I'm sexy? Like, you know what I mean? Like I have always had a problem, not a problem, but a hard time accepting my sexiness, like if that makes sense, because I was just not allowed to be sexy. Like I could be cute, I could be pretty, I could be beautiful, but I couldn't be sexy. And so being sexy and dressing sexy has always been a little bit hard for me, because it's just like it just was never accepted, or it was always just frowned upon. So I think when it comes to clothes and like the Arab culture and like how I have lived with it is just like allowing myself to be sexy. And I am, but like, you know what I mean? It's just like to even dress that way and to like allow people to see me as sexy and to see just to see me in like a promiscuous way. I feel like getting older, I like am craving it, not in like a, you know, like, oh, validate me. No, it's just like, this is also a part of me. I am also can be promiscuous in a sense, and I can be sexy, so why shouldn't I allow people to see me that way, at least like in the right place in the right time? But usually when I have male eyes on me, I just feel like dirty. I don't feel good. I don't feel good at all, because I was like very shamed. Like if a man's looking at you when I was younger, like it's bad. So
they're gonna look, and it doesn't matter what you're wearing.
Girl.
That's what I have learned. Okay. I will say that I've learned that, you know, sensuality is not always attached to sex, and that is something that we fail to realize because they're so intertwined. I feel like women are so sexy in general, like the sensuality of a woman, the body of a woman is just sensual. And a lot of the times that doesn't mean it's attached to sex, you know, like how we dress, it's not because we want to get fucked, you know?
Yes.
And I feel like that's where the disconnect is for men, that it's like, well, but you're dressed this way, you're showing, so what do you want? Like, and it's like, no, it's not my fault that your body is just like, you know? So I agree with that. I feel like for me, what I love to dress the most is like, I love blazers, and I love to dress more in like formal, like sometimes like old lady vibes, but then sometimes I do wear like stuff that is super sexy. Or I remember that this last summer I looked at my Instagram and I was like, I have no sexy pics at all. And I should, you know, like I should, and then I will post them and I'll be like, oh no, what did I do? Like now when I work and I have all these bikini pics, and I'm just trying to navigate that as well, where it's like, how much is a lot or how much is fine?
Yes, I agree.
I don't know, we'll get there. Okay, last fashion question. So in terms of men, do you like men?
Do I like men? Yes.
You're attracted? Okay,
yes, I like men.
Okay, so how do you like their fashion? Because, you know, for men, I feel like everything is so different, so plain. Like no one cares what they're wearing, really. At prom, they wear the same stuff they have been wearing. So how do you like men to dress?
This is like something, it's kind of like a little oxymoron, if that's the right word, or a paradox or whatever. It's hypocritical. I don't know. But my first reaction to like artsy guys is like, oh my God, I love your clothes. Like you're so like cool, like da da da. But then usually when I end up in a relationship with an artsy guy, I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, there can be two of us. There cannot be two of us. Yeah, I need like an architect or something. Yeah.
But then like if I'm in a relationship, which I am, with a guy that's, you know, very more like clean cut, like more like businessy, like, you know, has his own vibe, but like very more like clean cut, not like out there. I'm trying to like push them to be a little bit more artsy and to be a little bit more like this, and they're just kind of like, okay, this is me, like chill, like that's you, like, clearly. I'm just like,
yeah,
okay.
But you need to turn to me.
Yeah, but not too much, you know. So it's very hard. I definitely think that, again, the confidence factor just like goes into it. It's just like wear whatever you want and look however you want, and then, you know, it works out. But I also think that both men and women, it has to do with when it comes to what you do for work, I think that comes into play more when it comes to men. It definitely comes into play for women as well, but women can like leave work and then be a completely different person after. For the most part, I think men, it kind of translates. So like a finance bro will wear more, you know, finance bro clothes and et cetera. And I think that men's work has to do with how they dress a lot more than women's. And I also think that's just because men's work has a lot more to do with their like just identity. Yeah. And so that's what I generally think about it. But I also just love like to see men just do whatever they, you know, just wear what they want. And I do love when the artsy guys really be putting it on, because they do. Like they really do.
Yeah. I feel like men also need to be allowed to try on patterns, colors, different things, you know, and we really don't have room for them. And I do feel bad. One of the few things I feel bad for men is that we don't as a society, we just don't give them room for like creativity in terms of how they look, you know, like it's always so plain. Obviously there's men that wear whatever they want, but they're usually in fashion, exactly what you said. They're usually in fashion, they're usually, you know, pop stars or rock stars or whatever. So I feel like as a society, we just need to get better at allowing men to try out new things and wear prints, wear colors, we're wearing like earrings, you know, all of that, because why not, you know? I feel like they just don't do it because it's so out of the box and people are gonna call them gay or people are gonna call them this or that, and it's like, no, it's just a color. Like who said pink is for girls and blue is for guys? Like I still don't like understand that concept. Like I get it, but also who made these rules? Really?
I know. Literally, who made them? Half the rules, we don't even know the source. They're just, like, made up. And that's why it's like, we can just make up more. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And also, I think, too, you're bringing up that point about, like, men's fashion. And I think that I do love, like, Japanese fashion. That's becoming a lot more mainstream nowadays. And that's like men in skirts, but it's like sexy. You know what I mean? Usually I'm not really like, oh yes, a man in a skirt in a respectful way. Like that's not usually where I'm like, oh, I want to have sex with you. You're in a skirt. Like, but a man when it's with Japanese like as like fashion in a skirt, like it's just so hot. I don't know what it is, but like I think that the Japanese culture is able to do that very, very well to like blend that like softer silhouettes, feminine silhouettes within a man's like
and the flowers
lifestyle.
You know, I love men in flowers, like the combination of men and flowers I really like. I feel like it's just hot. So I'm excited to see more. I know, me too. Conspiracy tea. Okay, so I remember we've spoken a lot about Hollywood and its dark side, which it's out there, you guys. Like, it's not a conspiracy theory. Do
you not see what's happening with Diddy right now? Everything is out.
Exactly. And there's just, we love LA. We're here. It's a love-hate relationship for me. Yeah. I do love LA a lot. I will talk shit about it a lot of the times, but I'm here, you know? But, okay, there's this darkness in Hollywood. Like, it's a vibe. It's also like, I don't know, you can feel it. I feel like you can feel the way people act. I feel like it has a lot to do with lust, you know, sex, like availability for sex. I feel like it goes a step forward. And fantasies come out and people don't get satisfied with the same thing, so they start escalating to other things, you know. But there's also like the spiritual side that we've spoken, where it's like, I think I was telling you about Rihanna's photo shoot that just looked like so creepy with her child.
And it's like a dark bassinet. It was like, no.
Okay, yeah. And then you were telling me about Beyonce's like Renaissance album. Okay,
wait, hold on, real quick about the Beyonce thing, just real quick. I actually posted on TikTok about Beyonce's eyes, and I was like, Beyonce's eyes. I was like, the eyes tell it all. And it blew up. It had like 100K views, and like my comments were going crazy, but I thought I was gonna get like, you know, the beehive, and I probably got like 5% of that, and all 95% of that was like, I've been saying this, like her eyes, like da da da. And like, yes, if you aren't a person that like likes conspiracies, if you're not spiritual, if you just don't get it, then like you're not gonna get it. Bye-bye. But like, it's just dark. It's very dark.
You know, I will say for Beyonce, I'm still, because I like her, like I like her music. I feel like I'm emotionally attached to her a little bit. So I don't know what I believe in terms of what it's been said about her. But I will say that in her concert, which I went, I was first row. Oh, not first row, but almost. It was like third row. Like I was so close. And I've been to multiple concerts of multiple people, and I stand by this. There's energies in concerts, and there's so much happening that is using music in the spiritual world, you know, and it's either like dark or light, you know. I don't want to say I felt darkness, because I didn't necessarily. Like, there were some visuals that I was like, like there was, and I'll look for it and we'll put it in the video. There was this where kind of like the whole city just turns, she's in like this horse, and the whole city behind her turns like if it was burnt, like if it was already burned, like black and burned and just odd, you know. And I was like, but the buffer of the speakers was so loud that it made me like physically ill. Like I honestly felt like I was gonna pass out. So in my head, I don't know if it was because I'm sensitive to sound and the buffer, like I could feel it just like boom. Like at some point I was like, no, I can't do this. But after the concert, my mood was just so off. Like I felt angry. Like I felt angry, and I still don't know. I do believe in, you know, spirituality, and like I said, I'm not sure if I'm ready to accept beyond that Beyonce's evil, but it was interesting for me that my body just had such a strong like reaction to it, because after the concert I was just like in a bad mood. Like I just felt horrible, you know. So I still don't know if it was the sound or what was happening there, you know. What is it? Is it like they're saying that she killed the girl that was sleeping with Jay-Z?
Yeah, allegedly they're saying a million things, and they're also saying that like she had to do with like the death of Aaliyah, and like well, if there was going to be Aaliyah, then Beyonce wouldn't be Beyonce, and blah blah blah. There's a lot of things. Yeah, I can't speak on like what she's physically done. All I can speak about is the feelings that I have when I see her and what I listen to and stuff like that. And obviously there's a difference between fact and feeling, but at the end of the day, before, as corny as it sounds, before gravity was known to be gravity, that was not a fact that gravity was existing. So it's like, I'm not about to be only going based off fact when the United States has also been very open about changing so many things in our history books and like fact at one point was not fact, and then fact at one point becomes fact, and so vice versa. So I'm a person that goes with my gut. I go with my feeling. I have felt dark things, unfortunately, so when I see darkness, I know it, and it's not to be like, oh, fuck Beyonce, da 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 da, all this stuff. No, it's not that. It's just it's a bigger conversation here. It's the fact that there is darkness in our world, and the epitome of it is Hollywood, and the epitome of it is Los Angeles. And if you do know anything about Lucifer and the fallen angel or whatever, he was actually the angel of music. Yeah, and so it's like it's the only worthy. It's thoughts, you know, you can put two and two together when it comes to stuff, and the way that things move around here, it very much is like you said, it's lust, and that's kind of where I was going with it when I was talking about self-discipline. Is that if you are not disciplined in life and you are not disciplined in sex, then sex can become your like your fulfillment and your desires. Like you said, you get so much of it, you need more, and then you get so much of that, you need more, and you need more, and it gets to be very, very dark. And when it comes to music, when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to money, and this person, you know, you give them a little bit of this, then they might give you a little bit of that, and then how much more can you really go? It never stops. It never starts. No,
and you know, it's being sold to us left and right, and it's hard to realize this because we have fought so hard for sexual liberation, which I do believe that it had to happen. Like I do believe that women need to embrace their sexuality and not be shamed for it, and it's great that now everyone's having sex, but I do believe that we're too far in the other side of the spectrum, where now everything that it's been put down our throats is sex. And it's so normal, and it's so in movies, series, music, Instagram. That's also when it comes to play, where I'm like, is that too sexy? Because I also don't want to keep feeding into this monster that is lust, you know, because it's so dangerous. Like I genuinely believe that these people that we all know are monsters, I don't feel like they started like that. No. I feel like it was so gradual, didn't realize until they realized they get turned on by doing these horrible things to people, you know? And another person that I do want to talk to you about is Kanye West. I have my own conspiracy theory about Kanye West. I know that a lot of people respect him, and because he has been outspoken about a lot of things in the industry that are true. I generally feel like so I don't know if you've seen, and talking about fashion, like my first red flag about Kanye was when he started his like Christian era, and he did that like service at Coachella and was just all about God and Jesus and all that stuff. But then on the other hand, his actions were just kind of like not matching. And I think that Kanye wants to be like a self-proclaimed God. Like, I believe like he's Jesus, is King era. His brand is GC. Like, you know, you're here preaching about Jesus, but you call yourself like GC. And then he made a school, and people are chanting like his mother's name, just like Catholicism. You know, he's Jesus and the mom. I don't know. I feel like he wants to be a cult leader. Like, I feel like he's just like a self-proclaimed God. But have you seen how he dresses his now wife?
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like that's so crazy. I'm pulling up some photos here, but now he also announced that he wants to get into porn, which I'm sorry, but if you're this Christian and Jesus is king, you're not gonna get into porn, okay? So I think that I think it's Bianca or Blanca? Bianca's like family members were worried and were still like, I think he's using her to promote now this like porn industry, because how he dresses her is she's not even like
naked. She's half the time she doesn't have shoes on.
Even
she's
like,
walking around.
What do you think about him? Because I've also talked with people that just think that he was changed, like cloned, or they just think that he was
that's also like a thing that's happening, that they're saying he's cloned. And listen, I don't know if Kanye has been cloned. Do I think, though, if I'll just be completely honest, do I think that there are clones of people walking around? I do believe that that's something that could be happening. I will not rule it out, especially with how far my little conspiracist mind goes. I won't rule it out. I don't know about Kanye in specific, but I do think that he's a Gemini. And he does really good at playing both sides of the coin. He looks and feels like a completely different person on both sides of the coin. So I don't know, honestly. To be honest, if you're asking me like about Beyonce, like I know, like in my gut, anyways. Allegedly, I know in my gut, but like Kanye, I can't tell you what I really feel. But. He's just really good at playing both sides. But I would not be surprised. I mean, he's married to Kim Kardashian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can get into that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's just really, really smart, or if he's also just really dark.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kanye's one of those people that I do feel in my gut that I can't trust. I don't know. I can't. Okay, so give me just like a list of the people that are on your dark list that you're like, hell no.
Dude!
I'll give you mine. It's not a long.
Okay, well.
So Beyonce, we know.
Yes, we know Beyonce. Thank you, Beyonce. Thanks.
You. For allowing
Before
us
I literally
to
die. No, literally. Okay, I don't know. Beyonce, I feel like, obviously Jay-Z is just connected with that. I think that, I don't know if anybody knows Clive Davis. Clive Davis is pretty much like the guy that, what's the word when you kind of take a child and you like make them into
groom.
Yes, he's the one that allegedly groomed Diddy. Clive Davis is scary. Who else? There was a lot of people that I thought were dark, and then I realized, no, they're just victims. Like, they were just really bad victims. I think that, honestly, Beyonce was a victim at some point, but then now you're old enough where you can have your own decisions, and you're no longer a victim type of thing. I don't know. I haven't had so many. I do know, like, we could go into it, but Beyonce and Jay-Z, I definitely think they're just, like, at the top of that right now when it comes to the like Hollywood world, but I definitely think that all of them are just little baby. They're not even kings and queens. They're just little pawns in the whole entire thing. I think that it's much, much bigger than that.
Yeah, and with all of these coming out of Diddy, there's going to be a lot of people that started as victims and then became abusers.
Yes.
Because it's that gradual, like, change, in people. Okay, I'll tell you my list. Kanye West for sure. Travis Scott for sure.
Oh yes, for sure.
Astroworld. Oh my god, we need a full episode for Astroworld. But literally. That was insane.
And that's also something where kind of like to the Beyonce concert where it's imagine you have however they have thousands of people 50,000 in one place all listening to the same music, all having the same drum beat in like that, like those, that's literally physically changing your heartbeat. A music beat is to change how your BPM works and where you are at, like in that initial or in that exact moment and place. So yeah, that whole Astroworld thing, like that is no way, shape, or form not dark. Like there is no way, because you can genuinely tell people what to do without telling people what to do. And I also think that had to do with like, if we really want to get into it, like ritualistic sacrifices and like all that
the
stuff,
imagery. But you know what's crazy? That people still don't see it, and it's so in front of our face because
so loud.
his shirt of like, I went and got all the imagery that he was using. His shirt was like this tiny like blue little people crossing a door, and then they became red. And then the stage looked like hell, first of all. Yeah. And then it had a circle that said, see you on the other side.
Yep.
And you want to convince me that this was accidental? Also, because, you know, so a lot of people have told me, like, you know, there's no way he knew. Girl, he knew. This man knew. There's so many
creative
videos. And people say he didn't know people were dying. There are so many videos where the bodies are being... There's one that I saw that gave me the chills. A body was being passed out in front of him. He was super close, and you could hear a song, The Devil is Dancing, in the background. And in my school, one of the study cases was Astroworld. And this kind of confirmed what I already knew, which was that he knew that people were dying, because the way the stage was, so, you know, the stage was here, and then he had this like walkway, and then to the sides, kind of like a T or a cross. All the 10 people that died were in this area close to the stage, because that walkway, they couldn't get out. You know, like there wasn't...
They'd have to go back room. And then...
Yeah, so the people that were in between that T, between the stage and the T, that's where people died. And that's super close to the stage.
Yeah.
And this man did not stop that concert for the full hour, and then went to a strip club with Drake.
Yeah. And Drake's in there too.
Oh, Drake. Yeah, same. Drake. I don't know about satanic, but definitely a weirdo.
Yeah, definitely
like grow up. Like, sir, you're 40.
Yeah.
And you're acting like you're 20.
And speak about satanic though, like that alone, that Astroworld, like, also if you want to get into astrology, it was a Scorpio moon that day, and Scorpio is all about death, rebirth, transformation, like all of the things. Like, you see you on their other side is the definition of Scorpio. And like, also it was a Scorpio moon, right? Was married or was with Kylie at that point. Kylie is a Scorpio moon.
She was pregnant.
Yeah, she was pregnant, Scorpio moon. And there was a lot of Scorpio like energy that day, and with the people that were surrounding it, it was just all Scorpio. And then that happened, it was just like, oh my God, like I don't know. I think that the world doesn't want to hear it, but at the end of the day, if you can believe that there is God and you can believe that there is light, then there is no scenario in which there is not the devil.
There's no way.
There is no scenario.
And not even God. It's just good and bad. I feel like we can all agree that there's good and bad, you know? Even if you don't believe in God.
Yeah.
And there are just certain people that give you certain vibes. And in no place on earth can you convince me that Travis Scott, what he did that day, wasn't evil.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
So he's on my list. Elon Musk, don't trust that man.
Oh my God, no, that man's like a walking freaking reptile. I swear to God, that
so
man.
Weird. He wants to take over the world.
Like, he literally has We Robot is iRobot. Like, actually, I heard that the director of iRobot is trying to sue him now because he took all of his designs and he literally took the movie iRobot and made it real. Like, it's sick. They asked one of the Tesla robots, what is your hardest thing about being a robot? And he literally paused, looked, thought, and then said, trying to understand how to be human just like you. I was like, girl, I need to go.
don't know. You know, it's so scary that this guy is in all industries you can imagine. He's in space, he's in cars, he's in technology, he's in the Wi-Fi. This guy wants to take over the world, and
listen to me, Elon.
you are
Probably.
insane. Yeah, I feel like I mean, we're both spiritual, and we know that there's gonna be an antichrist. I feel like it's gonna be close to what Elon Musk is. I'm not saying it's him. I don't believe that. He seems a little like off for that job. But I do feel like it's gonna be some guy that comes with all these like solutions, you know? So I don't know. Who else? I feel like those three are my top, like Elon, Travis, Kanye.
Those are good ones.
I think those are my top, like, dark. And then the Kardashians, I don't know. I just don't know how, because they just seem like they're just there, but you don't know. Like, I remember when I was driving one day, I had just moved to LA, and I was in the freeway, and I could see the billboards, you know, on my side eye. And I remember I saw this billboard, and it seemed all to be Kim Kardashian's. Like, I thought it was just, like, a billboard with a bunch of, like, Kim Kardashian's faces. And then I turned, and none of them were Kim Kardashian. They were all different women that just looked... That's like when I realized, like, we're all following the... Well, not you and me, but the rest, the kind of imagery of the Kardashians, and that's why also when I said earlier, the simplicity of the clothes, because they started dressing just like all black, like super tight, like this, you know. And now how are girls dressing? Exactly like that, you know. And the face, I realized when I look at that billboard,
BBLs,
the structure,
the BBLs are because of the Kardashians, and they never even admitted it ever. It's crazy.
Do you think it's like darkness, or do you feel like it's just ignorance and like,
I don't know.
We're rich and stupid and like doesn't matter, let people follow us?
I think it's a blissful ignorance darkness, but I definitely think there's something there. I don't know if they're like, yes, let me sign my name on the dotted line and become part of the Illuminati. Like, no, I don't know if that's what they're doing, but I definitely think that they you know, they have, at least Chris has to know something. She has to know something. There's no way.
Her husband, isn't he super connected to P.
Corey
Diddy?
Gamble is very connected to P. Diddy and very we could have a whole conversation about that, dude. I'm
like,
not
who's
joking.
Gonna be there? We have to do episode 2 when all of it comes out.
Yes, yeah. I feel like we can connect the bridge between this whole fashion conversation and the conspiracies and in all of these things. It's because in this world, or especially in Hollywood, we're just trying to like live out our creative pursuits and live out our creative dreams. And I think that that's also very noble of us to do, because not everybody is able to even accept the fact that they can dream of something, and never mind accepting it, actually doing it and then doing it well. And it's so hard in this place because you are constantly facing the fact that you can have integrity or you can give it up for, you know, success. And that's where I think people are like, oh, they made a deal with the devil. I definitely agree that there's some people that are really signing blood on that line and agreeing to that. But I also think that you can be signing a deal with the devil when you agree to something that you don't really want to do. And you think that you have to do it because that's the only way to be successful, or you're in a room and people start looking at you weird when they're doing weird shit and you don't accept it. The first party I ever went to in LA, they literally thought I was a cop, actually, because I was so young and I was looking around and I was like, what is happening? I kept telling my friends like out loud, like I was so naive, like I literally was so young. And I was just like, what is going on here? They literally thought I was a cop, to the fact that like I was just looking around and I was like, what? Like, how is this so acceptable? Like, girls are on the ground, like popping pills, and I'm all about trying whatever you want to try, and like, you know what I mean, in a safe environment. But
it's disturbing.
It was insane, and it was so accepted, and then you feel like an outcast when you don't accept it. And then it's also hard when it's like you don't want to say certain things to certain people because you don't know how they're going to agree with it. And there's a fine line between I want to be within my integrity and I want to still see if I can get a job out of this, which is so sick. Like there's moments where I feel like I was like, wait a minute, was all like, you still want a job after this even though you felt so gross? Like why is that like that? And honestly, like I had an experience happen to me last weekend where I think I got drugged, and I've never had that happen to me in my life. Like I've never felt so out of control. I could have just been drinking a lot, but I feel like it's like usually a gradual thing. I was at one place and the next thing you know, I'm at the other. And all I remember about the drive was that it felt long. I left my phone at the first place. I've never left my phone anywhere. I left my car. I've never left my car anywhere. I left my keys. I left my phone, my car, and my keys. I've never done that in the existence of living. Like I swear to God. And so I'm just at this place, and I don't want to go into all details because if somebody watches this, I don't want them to know or whatever. But like I'm just at this place, and I like kind of come to, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what am I doing here? The place is not a bad place. It's just that in this state of mind, I was just scared. Like I was really scared. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I've been overly consuming this Diddy situation, like overly consuming. So I had a good amount of paranoia in my brain just from that. And it's the sad part is it's like it was paranoia, yes, but it's LA, so it could have really been me being sex trafficked like at any moment in time. And that was the first time that happened to me, and I was just like, oh my God, like half of my pride comes from being able to do things and be being good and being in control and knowing what I'm doing and having fun, but still being like on top of my shit. And it felt like all of my confidence of me being in control just like was away from me. And I was genuinely so terrified. I've never felt that unsafe. Like I've never felt so scared. And it's not even that it was like specific people that I was with. It was just that I was scared. Like I was just scared. I just never not had my phone. Like I've never not. I was like, where are we? Oh my.
And not being in control.
And even then, after that, I was like, do I tell the people that I was with? Because what if they think I'm being crazy, and what if they don't invite me again? Like that was like a thought that I had in my brain. And it's like, even though I don't even think they had anything to do with it, I just still was scared because I was like, oh well, what if I don't know, like it's just so sad that like you could genuinely really feel something to your core, but you're so worried that you don't want to ruin a relationship, you don't want to ruin something, even though it's like, if this was a genuine relationship and I told you I think I got drugged, you should be you should also be worried. Like
I'm sorry that happened to you. I 100% believe that it's possibility.
It's a possibility.
And we're not paranoid. And just to close off like everything, I feel like it's always the elephant in the room. Like people all know, they just don't want to talk about it because it's awkward, and it's like no one wants to see it because at the end of the day we're all here trying to get into the same industry, and it's like it kind of feels like it comes with it, and it's just this thing that everyone needs to accept and move forward and just not talk about it. When the Balenciaga stuff came out, which another episode about that, I was in school and it was an entertainment, it was LA Film School, and I was at a law class, and I thought we were going to talk about all of it, and we barely brush it, and we just, even my professor, I remember he said, well, they're technically not doing anything wrong. And I was like, we're not going to talk about this, really? You know, it's just this kind of situation that everyone knows is happening. No one wants to talk about it. But we need to keep our integrity. Like at the end of the day, we can't give it up. And just to close, I agree with what you said. It's so crazy because I do believe that there are deals with the devil. However, I think that when we talk about selling your soul in the industry, it's about doing something that compromises your values. And that can be something simple as working in a project with people that you don't agree with. It can be, you know, having sex for a position. It can be so many things. So this was great. Anything else you want to add?
The only person that knows who you are and who you want to be is you. And if you are a religious person, if you are a spiritual person, then the universe and God. So to close, you and your creator know who you are. everybody else doesn't know anything. And if you're trying to be someone that you are not, then you know that. So just do what you think is right. And if you want to be great, then stay in your values, people, because it's scary out here.
Embrace who you are. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
For listening, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you.